Hi everyone, and welcome back to Module 9, Enhanced Decision Making with Solver. The scenario that we have is at Ken's office supply. He's about to introduce the latest line of high performance products that he really feels that all of the data analytics are pointing to as the next big thing. He's certain that he's on the cusp of something huge here. What is it, you ask? Well, here's a picture of him with his flagship product. Yes, you guessed it, the lava lamp. This new version of the lamp will be constructed using a unique combination of carbon fiber, special goop, and Kevlar fiber so that it can withstand lots of abuse. Ken's lava lamp is being manufactured in two different models, the 14-inch and the 28-inch. Now, in a promotional effort, Ken's Office Supply is going to hold a grand opening rollout event in several nationwide hotspots simultaneously around the country. And to promote these new lamps, the marketing department has allocated $10,000 to produce both lamps. And he wants to give away as many of the lamps as possible, but at least 150 of each of the two different models. The task we have is, starting with this worksheet, we have to determine which of the best combinations of lamps of each of the two models to produce so that we have at least 150 of each for these events. But we don't want to exceed Ken's budget of $10,000. This is what we need to determine and optimize here in column D, the number of lamps. We already know that the cost of production setup for each model is $975 and $1,195 respectively, so we have these upfront costs that have to be spent. We then need to add the variable cost per unit of each lamp. For the 14-inchers, it's $18, and it costs $28 to produce each of the 28-inch models. The total cost is going to be the setup of each, plus the number of lamps multiplied by each unit's cost. Now, to determine the optimal combination of the number of lamps, we could start off with 150 for the 14-inch and 150 for the 28-inch. We know that we need at least 150 of each, and we can't exceed the $10,000 total cost. You can see from our financial model so far that we have a little over $9,000. We want to spend the whole $10,000, so the question now becomes, how many lamps can I produce? I can tweak these numbers here. Let me change the 14 to 175. That gets us closer to around $9,500. Let me change the number of 28-inchers to 175 to see where we land. Well, Pacrapicus, that shoots us over the 10K mark, so that won't work. Let me adjust the 14-inch down a bit. We can just keep editing these values, but life is too short to do this manually. There has to be a better way. Humans are pretty slow at putting in random numbers and trying to optimize a complex mathematical task. However, Excel has a few tools available to us to help us just do that. The first one I'm going to show you is GoalSeek. We played around with GoalSeek earlier in the semester, but let's try to use it now to see if it can help us out again. If we go up to the data ribbon and look under What If Analysis, we have a few cool tools here. We played with data tables last module, but here's GoalSeek. Here we have three fields to fill out in this dialog box. Let me try to attack this semi-logically. I'm thinking that since we have $10,000 to play with, let's make $5,000 worth of each of these two models. So the way I read this dialog box is, I want to set the total cost cell to $5,000 by changing the number of lamps. I'll put E3, the 14-inch model, into the set cell field, $5,000 into the second field, and finally the number of lamps, cell D3, into the changing field cell. If I hit the OK button, you'll catch a bunch of numbers cycle through the changing cell until it zeroes in on the best possible answer for this scenario. This is Excel putting in a bunch of random numbers at hundreds of times per second until it arrives at the best possible answer. The GoalSeek tool finally lands at 223.61 lamps. Well, we can't have 0.61 of a lamp, so we'll need to round that at some point, but we'll get there in a minute. Let's deal with the 28-inch model and see which of the two models we round up and which one we round down. If we do this again for 28-inch, set cell E4 to 5,000 by changing D4, hit OK, and voila. Let me round the 28-inch up since it's already 135.89, and that's pretty close to the next higher number, 136. And in order to keep my total under 10,000, I'll adjust D4 down to 223, and we've satisfied one of our business rules in keeping our total cost under $10,000 by a whole $8. To celebrate, take your team out to share one slice of pizza at Momo's. Wait, but not so fast. Don't go to Momo's yet. It looks like this approach has violated another one of our business rules or constraints that we mentioned earlier. We need to have at least 150 of each, and we only have 136 of the 28-inch model. GoalSeek is great for optimizing a single variable, but this business problem is much more involved, and even using GoalSeek, we'd have to go through a lot of trial and error to find the optimal combination. This is still a pretty simple problem at this point, and I suppose we could look at it logically now that we've played with it a little bit and see the limiting factor of 150 of the 28-inch models. So let me set the 28-inch model quantity to 150. This would have us spending $53.95, so we could now run the GoalSeek again to calculate the number needed to spend the remaining $46.05 and use up the balance, and we end up with 201 of the 14-inch lamps with $12 left over. With that, you can take your team out to Momo's and split maybe a small pizza. We're going in the right direction. Rarely will we find examples so simple, but at least we know that we have GoalSeek available for one variable data optimizations. What if we add some real-world complexity to this scenario, though? Suppose there's a limited amount of raw materials to produce the lamps. Raw materials like carbon fiber, goop additive, and Kevlar. GoalSeek did well with determining the optimal answer for this one variable, failed for two, but it would truly do a double facepalm if it had to take into account inventory levels of these three more items. Let me bring in the help from some friends to introduce the next part of the class. Armstrong's right.
Psychotic, but absolutely right. We gotta take these
complicated cases.
Now, we could fight them with
conventional formulas.
That could take years and cost millions of lives. No. No, in this case, I think we have to go all out. I think this situation absolutely requires a really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part.
Solver.
We're just the guys to do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it!
Okay, now that I've got you psyched up for Solver, come back. All right, back to Excel. To accommodate all of these variables, there's a special Excel tool or add-in called Solver. Solver is similar to GoalSeek in that it lets you specify what you want to occur in a particular cell by changing values of one or more related cells. However, in Solver, like GoalSeek, when you had to changing one cell, Solver has up to 200 changing cells. So instead of changing one variable until it determines the optimal answer to your question, Solver allows you to change up to 200 different changing variables all at the same time, subject to complex business rules. The changing cells, also called adjustable cells, will continue to be adjusted or changed until the optimal value in the goal cell is reached. This goal cell is sometimes referred to as the objective cell or the target cell. Solver also lets you establish constraints that restricts the values that are entered into up to the 200 different changing cells. The combination of the target cell or objective cell, the changing cells, and the constraints used to solve the problem is called the Solver model. Here in another sheet called Maximize Lamps, we have the information from the materials used in each lamp. For the 14-inch, we consume 3 ounces of carbon fiber, 1 ounce of goop, and 2 of Kevlar. For the 28-inch models, we consume 4 ounces of carbon fiber, 2 of goop, and 3 of Kevlar. These amounts will be used to calculate the total number of ounces consumed for each material for each model based upon the quantity of lamps actually produced. If you look at this formula, it's just the number of lamps multiplied by the number of ounces of that raw material required to produce that model. In the second table over here, we keep track of all the constraints, as well as any values associated with those constraints. Some of these constraints are physical constraints, like the amount of carbon fiber, goop, and Kevlar that we have on hand to produce the lamps. This is commonly referred to as our inventory levels. We cannot produce more lamps than the amount of raw materials that we have on hand, hence the term physical constraints. We also have items in the table called policy constraints. These rules that we have to play by are sometimes referred to as business rules. For instance, we're required to produce 150 of each of these two models. We could produce more, but the marketing team says that we have to produce at least that many. Finally, we have the total cost constraint up here that states that we only have 10 grand to spend. With this new information, we're going to use Solver to set up the solver model and adjust these cells, G3 and G4, to come up with the optimal amounts that satisfy all of our physical limitations and business rules outlined in this constraint table over here. Before we can use the solver, we need to add it to Excel since it isn't automatically enabled during the average installation of Excel. You have to add it into Excel, so it's commonly called, go figure, an add-in. You know that you're getting into some pretty hairy stuff when you start adding this type of functionality into Excel, but there are dozens, if not hundreds, of add-ins created for Excel. Some of these are written by Microsoft and are already included in the application, and you just have to enable them here, but there are also a myriad of third-party add-ins that will allow Excel to do all kinds of crazy stuff. Usually you have to pay for those, but still, if you can have an add-in and still use Excel as your base software tool, it could save you a lot of time and effort. To include the add-in, we go up to the File tab and then Options. Here we find the Add-ins tab. Once here, you'll find a bunch of inactive add-ins here. Solver is found in the Excel add-ins, so we make sure that that is selected here in this drop-down list, and then hit Go. Here we have the 4 add-ins that are already installed on your machine. You just need to enable it by checking the box and hitting OK. Now if you go out onto the data ribbon, you'll now see the analysis area and Solver sitting right there. All right, that's a good stopping point for now. See you in part 2.